Okay, welcome to Weekday Somatics. We're going to I'd like to explore the face a little bit today. So you're welcome to do this from any posture that works for you. I, as usual, encourage you to choose a posture that you believe that you can inhabit for the next half hour, and for that to be a, a challenge without it being strenuous. Maybe that's unusual. Maybe many of us might equate challenge with strain. So to challenge ourselves without strain, to challenge ourselves to the challenge is to be without strain. So the question that can guide us is, how can I best put myself into the circumstances that will offer me the greatest opportunity for exploring this challenge? If I set myself up with too much where I'm not confident, then I'm going to strain, most likely. But if I coddle my insecurities, if I coddle my lack of confidence, if I say, oh, I can't, then we can tell the truth about what we're doing. Only we can do that. Only you can do that for yourself. Only I can do that for myself. We can look and we can see, am I accepting some story about myself as true? If I say I can't, one of the amazing things about life and humans, it's not exclusive to humans, but I'm human, you're human, so we can relate to humans, we can do an incredible variety of things. We see that demonstrated. People can do things that the majority think are impossible. So the idea that I can't is a lie. I can't is always a lie. I don't yet know how. I don't yet have confidence. That's not a lie. That's true, maybe. So we're exploring the edge between I can't, with all of my evidence for why I can't. And it just, you can just notice it's there waiting. It's like, it's an unconscious habit. We don't have to go searching for it. The I can't is right there waiting. We're always bumping up against that limitation. I can't. And then all of the associated stories. Well, I can't because I'm older. Or I can't because I had that accident. Or I can't because I'm just too tired. Or I can't because I'm not flexible enough. Or I can't because I'm not strong enough. Or all the reasons. And then again, on the other side of the edge, such a fine line. On the one side is I can't. On the other side is I'm gonna strain. I'll push. I'll try. So you can look to see how all of the trying, all of the strain, all of that effort that we habitually exert, it's also a lie. It's a giant lie. It's an enormous, painful deception because we say, I'll try. But we already know from the very beginning that it's a lie, don't we? Because we say, oh, I'll try, but in the back of our mind, we know we're not going to. We know we can't really do it. Right? Because if you say, I can't sit upright, not for 30 minutes, I can't do that for 30 minutes. And then you say, well, I'll try. So it's a lie. You know you won't do it. You know you won't succeed because you're operating from unconsciousness. And you have to be lying to yourself and deceiving yourself to fall for that. So don't just start telling the truth. That's the invitation, is just to be really honest about neither this nor that. We're not falling to either side. We're just present. And if we're really truly present consciously, then we see all of the habits of self-deception. We see how we go to one side or the other. I can't, I'll try. I can't, I'll try. And we start to see that they're the same. I can't and I'll try. They just reinforce one another. They reinforce this wall, and it's a false wall. So when we stay here on the edge, we see all of the lies as lies. Bit by bit. So find a posture that supports you in telling the truth now. And it can support you in telling the truth if it supports you in being consciously present. So if you strain, if you fall this way and you're enduring, then you can see that. You can be witness to that. You can observe that. If you're willing to find this edge, it's an exploration of the edge. So I'm not suggesting that you know where that is presently. It's an exploration to discover that. And as that gets clearer and clearer through the exploration, maybe what starts to occur. I read this really wonderful phrase. I have the book over here, so it's The Root of Chinese Qigong by Dr. Yang Ming. And he describes something I just turned to the page recently. I just was flipping through because I was moving books, and there was this phrase, just a word that perfectly describes. In fact, I think I had even the same word had recently come to me when I was just looking at my own experience: transparency of the body. So the possible revelation is, and I hope that we're all really looking presently, exploring as I'm talking, looking in your direct experience, curious about what I'm pointing to, this edge, neither this nor that, neither I can't nor I'll try. It's non-indulgence. It's just presence, conscious presence, present to the actual direct experience and telling the truth, so that we're getting clear on that edge. And so as we get clearer and clearer, there's a transparency, because it becomes more and more refined. Before, we didn't have any balance because we were vacillating wildly. And that's the gap that I talk about. That's when I talk about a violent, sudden change in state. Because we're so far over here, we spend our life like this until this becomes unbearable. We're just bearing, we're straining, enduring, and it becomes unbearable. And what do? Now we're enduring and straining over here. So our whole lives become about that. So there's no transparency because we're so unclear because of this wild vacillation. So what I'm proposing is we just observe those habits. At first, we start out over here. We don't even know. We've become numb, rigid, hardened, armored. We don't even know that we're doing this. We don't know that this requires effort. We don't recognize it. So we explore. Non-effort. How am I making effort? How can I soften and release the effort? Bit by bit, we get clearer. Non-indulgence. effortlessness, transparency, we can really start to get clear directly, intimately with the things that I'm pointing to. When I talk about support, we can really start to actually connect directly with that because we're aware of it. It's no longer an idea. It's a real actual experience presently. And then the to me the most advanced, and I'm not that advanced, so don't get me wrong, but the most advanced variation on this kind of exploration is simply to be present to that anchored stillness and to become even become physically more and more still, not through restraint. So you can observe right now this is important, because if we're curious about this transparency that I'm referring to, then we want to be curious about what obscures the direct perception of this transparency. And what obscures it is this gap. It's a false gap. There is no gap, but we maintain the gap again through a sudden, violent shift in state. It's happening at such a subtle level. It's happening at a gross level, like I was referring to, just observe yourself throughout the day. You'll notice all the little things that you do. I do them. You probably see me at the beginning of most of these videos. I probably okay, let's get settled in. But it's also happening at subtle levels. So as we're coming more and more to rest consciously here, we can start to tune in to the subtler levels of how we make those state changes and how we grip and how we are attempting to recreate or sustain a state based upon an image or an idea that we have. This is a subtle thing, but when you start to see this, this will be very helpful. You have an idea. You're not consciously aware of it, but you have an idea of what it means to be upright. You learned this, and it's not accurate. Unconsciously, you're straining to recreate the state based on your wrong idea. Somebody at some point in your life said something to you along the lines of sit up straight. And then you took action, and if that was acceptable to whoever told you that, then you learned bit by bit That's the way to do it. How do you sit up straight? Look, check it out. Sit up straight. You're allowed to move. Sit up straight. How do you do it? Notice. And what I'm suggesting to you is that that unconscious effort maintains the false gap. And if you're curious about this idea or the suggestion of the possibility of transparency, you can't afford to waste any effort maintaining a gap. Any gap produces distortion. Okay, I was going to go in a different direction today, but let's do this instead. Okay. So as we're doing what I'm about to suggest, continue to inhabit this posture with awareness. Notice where you're gripping, tensing, attempting to emulate an idea of yourself. And see that it's possible to be right in the middle, so that you're not indulging the idea of yourself. You're not making any unnecessary effort to sit upright, because that's an emulation of an idea. Instead, you can look in a different direction, receive the support, trust be willing to trust that this support offers everything you need. That the support of nature provides everything, provides the gravity, provides the ground, provides the structure of the bones, provides everything so that we can just be effortlessly present, aligned. So you can you can release all of we're straining to be upright. Release that. Release all of that downward, so that you are meeting the support. Don't attempt to work against the support. Don't resist the support. Release to the support and let the support provide your buoyancy effortlessly. So that may be enough. Maybe you don't need anything more than that. And if that's the case for you, don't do anything more just because I suggest it. For those who are, now that we're almost half an hour in, for those who are interested in exploring something in addition to that, briefly, close both of the eyes for a moment. And then slowly open the left eye as gently and pleasurably as you can, so that you're not introducing any unnecessary strain. And allow your gaze to rest on the tip of your nose. And this is, by the way, an example of one of those things where the mind the conditioned mind might say, I can't. The conditioned mind might say, this is strenuous, this is going to injure me, whatever. Now, don't push, because if you push, you're going to injure yourself. If you push, you'll injure yourself, and then you'll say, see there, I knew it. Interestingly, I've never studied vinyasa yoga in much detail, but I know a little bit about it. It's a style of hatha yoga. Popularized by a man named Patabi Joyce. And I believe one of the things that is utilized in that system of yoga more than others that many of us may be familiar with is something called a drishti, which means a gaze. And so there are certain particular gazes that are used in that style of yoga. And I believe the tip of the nose is one of them. So the gaze is held gently for long periods of time. And the reason I mention this is just because, back to what I had said earlier, humans can do an amazing variety of things, and there are those who demonstrate that to us. So then we can recognize that it's possible. If others are able to do it, we can do it. Now, as you're gazing with just one eye at the tip of the nose, slowly turn the head and notice that you can allow, and it doesn't matter, I'm going to turn the head to the right. You can turn the head to the right. Let's turn the head to the right. Only as far as we can turn the head to the right without introducing unnecessary effort or strain. So let it be smooth and gentle, and continuously allow the gaze to rest on the tip of the nose. And then slowly turn the head back to center, or as close to center as you can figure out. And then turn the head to the left, continuing to let the gaze rest on the tip of the nose. And then turn the head back to center. And let's do this a few more times. So we'll turn right, center, left, center at your own pace, keeping your gaze on the tip of the nose. So the one eye on the tip of the nose. And be sure to come back to center and pause so that you can get whatever clarity is possible for you about what this neutral or center is. And outwardly, don't be concerned with what it appears outwardly. Be only interested in your inner perception. And see that you can allow the gaze to remain on the tip of the nose throughout. Now, as you're doing this, it's a lot to be aware of. So remember, don't strain. If this is there's an edge, maybe you've gone over the edge. So if so, come back to the edge. Don't do what I'm saying to do just because I say to do it. But here's something that if it's possible for you that you can be aware of, be aware of your habits of introducing unnecessary strain and of introducing sudden, violent changes. So do you notice an impulse at any point for the eye to dart somewhere else, to leave the gentle gaze on the tip of the nose? Close both eyes. Let the head come to neutral. Notice how your sense of yourself is different. It has to be. Notice what's changed in your sense of your head. Here's a question. In your direct experience, does your head have a backside? Can you find the backside of your head just inwardly perceiving? And are you sure? And is it at least different than what you thought? Okay, let's slowly open the right eye, keeping the left eye closed. And let the gaze fall lightly on the tip of the nose. And we'll just allow the gaze to rest there. And we'll do the same turning of the head. This time we'll turn first to the left, keeping the gaze on the tip of the nose, and see how smooth it's possible to turn the head. Can you turn the head without lifting the chin or pulling the chin? Or can you just allow for the whole head to turn gently, keeping the gaze on the tip of the nose, and then slowly returning to center? And then to the right. So we'll do this a few more times at your own pace. And just notice any habits as they surface. So you might notice habits where the eye wants to dart. Maybe the other eye wants to flutter open. Maybe you want to have a sense of wanting to check something. Okay, now pause wherever you are. Just pause for a moment. And here's something interesting. Keeping the left eye closed, look through the left eye. Okay, close both eyes and allow the head to come to neutral. Okay, and now we're going to do something briefly. Slowly open the right eye, keeping the left eye closed. Let your gaze fall on the tip of the nose. And without looking away from the tip of the nose, be aware of what else you see. around the nose. So don't look away from the nose, but see that you can be aware of what you see around the nose. And just lightly, very lightly, take a very light inventory just of the shape, color, whatever it is that you see there. Maybe even you can be aware of things as objects, that's fine, but just take a brief inventory just so you can sort of notice what's there. And then close the eye and remember what you saw around the nose. Now slowly open the left eye, keeping the right eye closed. Let the gaze fall on the tip of the nose. And notice what it is that you see around the nose, without looking away from the nose. So you're keeping your gaze on the nose, and you're just aware of what you see around the nose. And close the eye and remember what you saw. So can you remember what you saw when you were looking through the right eye at the tip of the nose? And can you remember what you saw when you looked through the left eye at the tip of the nose? Now, slowly open both eyes and look at the tip of the nose. So for some of you, this will be easy, and for some of you, you'll think, I don't know how on earth that's even possible. But here's the thing, okay? Again, others have demonstrated that this is possible. So we can be encouraged by that. Don't strain, let it be light. And here's what I'd like you to notice now. Can you be aware, can you see, without leaving the tip of the nose, let your gaze continue to be restfully on the tip of the nose. Can you be aware, or let me not even say it that way. Notice that you're able to see simultaneously what you see, or what you did see around the nose when you saw through the right eye, and what you saw around the tip of the nose when you were looking through the left eye. You can see both of them simultaneously, keeping the gaze gently on the tip of the nose. Now, focus on the thing. So you're going to shift your focus. Focus on the thing that is, or focus away from the nose on the thing that you see, or the things that you see that you saw previously through the right eye, keeping both eyes open. Notice that you don't see, at least not so clearly, what it is that you saw when you were looking through the left eye at the tip of the nose. Now, see if you can bring the gaze back to the tip of the nose with both eyes. And then be aware of the things that you saw both through the right eye and the left eye around the tip of the nose. And then shift your focus to the things that you're seeing around the tip of the nose through the left eye. Hopefully this makes sense. Notice that what you're seeing when you're focused on that does not include, at least not so clearly, the things that you were seeing on around the tip of the nose when you were looking through the right eye. See if you can bring the gaze back to the tip of the nose with both eyes. And notice that you can see both in front of you, directly in front of you. You can see both things. Simultaneously as your focus is on the tip of the nose. Now we'll do one. No, we'll leave it at that. I get so excited. Okay, but we'll leave it at that for today. So let your eyes close. Notice that you probably, if you're like me, you might have, in all the excitement, looking at the tip of the nose. Who knew that that could be exciting? Maybe like me, you became a little focused. So allow that focus to open up again. Notice the support. Notice the bones. Notice the natural breath. Notice how your perception of yourself, your body at least, is different. And at your own pace, when you're ready, and there's really no rush, begin to explore slowly opening the eyes as gently and smoothly as possible, and see that you can remain aware without disturbing your direct perception of stillness. So for those of you who are here live, we'll continue with the Q&A momentarily. And for anybody who's watching the recording, I'm going to end it now. So thanks for joining.